All right, so our demo reel is our last turn-in thing that we're going to be turning in. This coming Monday will be our last work day. So your drone, your demo reel, everything should be able to get in by the end of that day. If not, you'll have until the end of day Wednesday to turn in everything. That way, if you need to come into lab Tuesday or finish it up Wednesday, you can. Wednesday of next week will be our final exam. So when you come in that Wednesday, I'm going to give you a challenge, and then you will complete that challenge within the 3 hours of class. Okay, so make sure you're obviously on time that May 2nd. And then the next week after that, which would be the 7th, that day we are looking at the demo reels. So everything is due on the 2nd of May. On the 7th of May, we're looking at all the demo reels. So when you come in, we're showing all the demo reels for this class, and I show stuff for other class. And then the 9th is a day basically for me to grade and you to come in and grab stuff off your computer if you need to, or whatever. Okay? You don't have to be here on the 9th. So for your demo reel, these are all the things that we have for this class, not including the final exam. You don't have to put that inside of your demo reel. It consists of your mini room, which was a movie. That was like the first thing we did. We have an environment, which was 4 to 5 stills. Some of us had an issue with the sketch and tune one, so I said you didn't have to do that if you were having issues with sketch and tune. So we should have 4 to 5 stills for that. We had our titles, which were our name things that we animated. We have 3 movies for those. We have a product, which is 1 still and 1 movie. And then we have our drone, which is 1 still and 1 movie. Okay, so that's all the stuff that we've created over the past 16 weeks. So, a weird hair in my laptop. There we go. So the first thing you want to do is just start collecting the stuff so that you have it all in one spot. So I'm going to go to my desktop. I'm going to make a folder and just call this demo reel stuff. And I'm just going to start putting movies inside there. Now, I'm not going to use the actual movies and files for this class because it doesn't matter.
Are you also going to put stills in there too?
Yes, stills and the movie. It's the same thing, so you're just going to grab your stuff. So let me find where I have my files at. There. Okay, now you could opt, if you're doing an actual demo reel that you're going to be putting out to the world, you never want to grab your original movie and drop it in there, because when you put your movie inside of it, your movie is already compressed, and then it's going to compress it again, and so it'll lose quality each time. So typically what you want to do is grab the image sequence. So in this case, I'm grabbing the original image sequence from this, and I'm just going to drop it inside here. And then I'm going to grab my movie. Okay, so I'm dropping some stills in here. This is not, like I said, from this class. I'm just grabbing stuff, just random stuff that I have. All right, so I grabbed a whole bunch of stuff. You will grab these specific things from yours. Your mini room, your 4 to 5 stills for the environment, your 3 titles, your 1 still and 1 movie for your product, or 1 still and 1 movie from your drone. And let me see if I have those too. I think I have my titles in here. Final. Yes, I do. So I'll drop that in there too. And got my mini room final also. I'll throw that in there just so we have some things that are similar. Sure. Okay. So you're going to use After Effects for this. You want to, like I said, have everything collected already because it makes your process of doing the next step a lot easier because everything's in one spot. You don't have to jump around on your computer to find it. So I'm going to import the stuff just like we've imported everything else. And I'm going to grab my image here, which is arm render, and I'm going to import it. And then I'm going to grab blocks. If it's a sequence, just like before, we import a sequence. If it's a movie, we would obviously just import the movie. If you get any of these messages saying, do you want to use the alpha channel, you just hit ignore. You don't need to worry about that. Okay, so up here you'll have all your stuff. You should have one file for this. You should have 4 to 5 stills, not that big stretched one, but the individual stills. Okay, your 3 movies, your 1 still, your 1 movie, your 1 still, your 1 movie. Okay, so then what you're going to do is grab these in the order that you want to display them. Okay, so I'm just using the control key and picking the exact order I want them to show because it's going to go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't care which order you do it in. It makes kind of sense to put things together. So when you do your product, the still, and then the animation, that usually makes more sense than the products at the beginning and the end. That doesn't make sense. Okay. So I've grabbed these in the order that I want to show them off in. I'm going to drag this down to the new comp. And then this window will pop up. It'll say, do you want to make a single comp, which we do. What dimensions do you want to use? Now, all of our stuff here, if you remember from our little cheat sheet, anytime we rendered a movie, it was 960 by 540. Anytime we rendered a still, it was 3000 by 2400. Okay? So After Effects is basically asking, do you want to use the big one or the small one or some other one that you have there? So if you remember which one is which, you can pick one of the movie ones because that's what we want. We want things sized down. We don't want them stretched up. Okay? So I know that all of, like this one here is this one here is 960 by 540. So I'll leave it at 960 by 540. I'll also show you how to change it in case you need to. My still duration. So when we bring a still image in, it's asking how long do we want each still image to last. So I'm going to say 2 seconds. That means it's going to come on the screen, 1, 2, and then it goes away. Okay? So 200 is 2 seconds. And then I'm going to hit sequence layers. I don't want any overlap, and then I hit OK. And what After Effects does is it takes everything that I've just selected, dragged it to the new comp, and it automatically sequences it out for me. So I don't have to worry about like offsetting each one, which is like amazing. Now what I do have to do is make sure that as I go through this, that nothing is sticking outside of this box. And I know stuff will stick outside the box. So I think that one might stick outside the box. No, that one's good. Okay. This one? Nope, that's good there. This one does. Okay, so this is one of my stills. You can see the icon here is different than the other icons. If I click on this, I don't see a bounding box. Around here, if I zoom out, there's the bounding box. So this is actually expanding past the size of this. So I'm going to hit S to scale it down, and I'm going to scale it until the entire image is inside here. So I'm just clicking and dragging on the numbers until it fills the entire thing. If there's a little bit of overlap there, like it's past it, that's fine. But you definitely don't want to be like obviously too small or cutting off what we showed. Okay? So because your 3000 by 2400 is most likely going to be taller than wider, it will do exactly that. Okay? So just leave it the way it is. If you want to do something, if you watch TMZ or any show that ever has any kind of horrible videotape stuff, if people videotape stuff with their phone, they hold it like this, and then when it shows up on your TV, which is the other orientation, it looks horrible. So just for your own sake, videotape stuff like that. But what they do is, to make it not look as horrible, is they'll take this and duplicate it, and then I just hit Control D, and then they take the background layer, scale it up, and then they add a blur to it. So I just add a Gaussian blur, and then I can stretch that out like a lot. And then what it does is it just gives it some sort of back plate, okay? So it doesn't look as weird. And I could even move this up some just to kind of, I actually like it right there, okay. So that doesn't look as weird. So I'm gonna go to the next one. This one is fitting perfectly. I'll go to the next one. That one's fitting perfectly. I'll go to the next one. That one fits perfectly. I'll go to the next one. That one fits perfectly. Okay. Now remember, our titles are all inside one thing, so you could even do that. You can grab just your title movies that are all 3 of them, boom, boom, boom. Okay. So now this is everything's the right size, 960 by 540. If for some reason I chose the wrong resolution, I'd go up to Composition and go to Composition Settings, and then I could specify 960 by 540 here. You may have to uncheck the lock, type it in, and then hit OK. So now that I have all of my pieces here, I can hit play and watch it. So there's 2 seconds of that, however long this is. And then however long that is. It's hard for you to see, but it looks cool. It's like jelly cubes. After Effects is basically like Photoshop, but with movement, if you've never played with it. So they have things like levels in this. So if something did come off maybe too dark, you could always brighten it up. So these are like random things that I built throughout the semester. There's that one, there's that one, that one. Yes, yes, yes. And then here's a building, and then there's that. Okay, so now the rest of this is exactly the same as we've done before. Export it, add it to the render queue. If you're using your home computer and your home computer is a PC and your PC has updated After Effects, there's another thing you may have to do. So I'm going to go to Lossless and I'm going to choose QuickTime. And you'll see from my format options that H.264 is no longer here. For whatever reason, After Effects decided to remove H.264 from this list in its latest version of QuickTime, or of After Effects. So you can't render the regular settings through After Effects this way. But on these computers, you would just choose H.264, just like we've always done. You would hit OK. And then you would go there and give it a name. Your, I'm going to put this inside my 2510 folder. You don't need to make a special folder inside your folder for it. But you want to call them your last name, DemoReel, underscore winter 18, underscore 2510, underscore winter 18. Okay. So your last name, underscore DemoReel, underscore 2510, underscore W18. And then you will save, and then you will render. Okay? That's the same process that we've done before. Now, just so you can see this again, as how quick this can be for you, I'm just grabbing my bits. Obviously, double check your stuff after you actually import it to make sure you did grab everything. I'm going to hit import and ignore. Oops. Apparently it did not bring in my sequence, so I have to try that again. Multiple sequences. There we go. So it does not want me to bring in everything at once, so I will bring in them individually. Okay, so I grab my stuff, yes, 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 ignore. Click them in the order I want them to show up. Drag them to the new comp. Single, 2 seconds, use dimensions from my mini room. Sequence the layers, OK. And then I can just double check my comp settings, 960 by 540, and then double check that as this plays that nothing is sticking outside of this area. And if it is, I click on it, I go to my scale, and then I scale it down to fit, like that. Okay, and then I will go here, and then I will say export, add to render queue, QuickTime H.264, Sarcona, DemoReel, 2510, Winter 18. Render it out. If you don't have H.264 because you're rendering at home on your computer and it's updated, instead of going to add to render queue, you go to add to media encoder queue. And media encoder is a separate program that comes with the Adobe package. That there. And what it does is basically the same thing that window is that pops up that compresses our file. That window is a whole program. So all of our compression settings are set up inside there. So now it's opening. And the interface for it, it's pretty simple, but we're only doing a couple things in there that we need to play with. Once you start clicking buttons, then it gets a little bit more complex. And be patient with it because sometimes it does take literally 5 minutes to open up if you've never opened it. All right, there it goes. So now it's opened the program. Now it's opens the program, and then what it does is it connects our After Effects file to the program. So somewhere inside here, it's going to show up right here, it'll load our After Effects thing. So we're still not loaded yet. We'll see the exact demo reel, blah, 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 whatever we called it, will show up in this area. There it is. So there's Sarcona Mini Room. That's the name of this composition. And so now all I have to do is just choose from this list H.264. And then I go over here, and I click on that, and I tell it where I want this to go. So I'll put that into my, not there, P drive, here, 2510, Sarcona DemoReel, 2510, Winter 18. And then I hit play, and that means just render it out. This is one of the great things about Adobe if you've used video editing. So I know Matt's in the video program. Anyone else in the video program? No. If you are, there's programs like Avid, there's programs like Final Cut, and then Adobe Premiere is another one. And the great thing about Adobe Premiere is that it's linked right to After Effects, so you can actually take stuff out of After Effects, put it in Premiere, and go back and forth using this Adobe link library. You can even use Photoshop and Illustrator and have all these programs linked together, which is awesome. So down here, it's rendering out my stuff. There's my status. Once the video's done, I simply drop it into, here's the turn-in folder, drop it into the turn-in demo reel. Boom. Okay, obviously watch it. Make sure that you have all the stuff that's in here. Make sure your mini room is in there. Make sure your 4 to 5 environment stills are in there. Your 3 movie titles, your 1 still and 1 movie product, 1 still and 1 movie drone. And that should be it. Cool. This is, I obviously talked longer than it even took, but this is the probably shortest video we've ever had. Questions on that yet?